Now, in this next chart from Professor Mark J. Perry at the American Enterprise Institute, we have sector by sector inflation from January of 2000 until December 2023. So a full 24 years worth of trendline data of these various components of overall inflation. Now, this is not a CPI index because there is a weighting component to the CPI, of course, as well as a frequency of purchase component. People don't buy TVs as often as they have to buy food, but that is why we have a CPI index, as well as other inflation measuring indices such as the Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, which I believe is the most accurate way to measure the pernicious component of inflation. But over here, you see how much divergence there has been since the beginning of 2000. By different product types. All the technological products have been falling very, very fast. TVs have fallen 98%. And you can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics to look at more details about whether they are taking a like television or not and things like that. Computer software, toys, all of this has fallen a great deal. Cell phone services. Clothing also has had no price increase over this entire span. Other things have been flat for a very long time and have just recently risen a little bit. New cars and household furnishings. New cars, 26.2% over 24 years is still about 1% a year, even if the majority of that gain was just within 3 years or so. And then you have the overall inflation amount, 82.4%. That's the CPI reading. And the average hourly wage in the United States, 114%. So the average hourly wage has risen more than inflation, and this is with more jobs created as well. The number of jobs in the economy is at close to a record high, and unemployment is at close to a record low. And the numbers right now are better than they have been at almost all points over the last 75 years or so. But now as you go higher, you get to these problematic sectors, and everything is somehow connected to educational institutions and healthcare. Medical care services, hospital services, these are among the highest. Hospital services is the only one that's still going straight up without any attenuation. This is a very artificial thing because I have videos on this channel describing how the non-free market government intervention in the healthcare system is the reason for inflation, whereas the types of procedures that don't have government intervention, such as cosmetic surgery, have a much lower rate of inflation. You can see that video in this tag in the upper right hand corner here. College tuition and fees has risen a lot, but you can see this plateauing in the price. The plateauing is a good sign, which means the days are numbered for this many colleges being able to charge this much. And remember, a straight line still means the annual percentage gain is attenuating. So if the line itself is plateauing, then the annual percentage gain is falling really fast. So college tuition's days are numbered because of the corruption inherent to why college got this expensive in the first place. If the goal of society was merely to educate people, then the cost should be going down over time, not up at all. It should be below zero. And the free education available on the internet on virtually every subject comprises downward dipping educational value. This is just the price of an institution. A lot of people talk about the cost of education is rising too much. That is a very ignorant thing to say because they are assuming that education can only be had in an educational institution like a college or school. They're conflating college tuition with education, as if you can only learn about a subject within a degree program in a university. And this college textbook scam, and yes, it is a scam, is thankfully also plateauing. This was a very shameful type of corruption. A professor would require students to purchase a book written by that professor, and then only 10% of that book is actually used in the class, and nonetheless the student would have to buy a $70, $100, $150 textbook that they will never use again and has no resale value because next year there's a different edition for that book. Fortunately, the internet and the PDF revolution has enabled college students to rebel against this practice, and this is now flat, but it should be plunging down. It should go down to nothing. Educational materials required for a class should be just PDFs that are available online for free or very low-cost printouts that the college bookstore sells. College textbooks were a very blatant example of university corruption. Now, of course, college textbooks are a lower sticker price than college tuition. This was only a few $100s a year versus $50,000 a year or something like that. And that's where this chart doesn't give the whole story because this is a smaller ticket item versus this. But as you can see, there's huge divergence among sectors. The highest inflation sectors are the ones that attract the most potential for technological disruption. And the disruption can take many forms. That is what we are seeing here, and that is one of the foundations of predicting technological disruptions, because things that are unnecessarily expensive are where technological solutions are hacking away the most. And remember that the sectors with the greatest inflation are all ones that have massive government involvement in even the end product and the customer's access to the end product. Technology companies are involved with the government a lot as well, but not in the purchase experience and the pricing experience that the customer faces. Whereas in college tuition and hospital services, it's government every step of the way. So this chart reveals a great deal about how different inflation is by sector and how they all bundle together for this overall inflation amount, and therefore the weightings of these are obviously not equal because some are a greater percentage of income than others. But as I repeat again, that's why we have indices like the CPI that do in fact take these weightings into account. Thanks for watching.